I've been doing a lot of research about the regulation changes that we're going to see in Formula 1 in 2026. And while preparing to make a video telling you the facts of what we're going to see, the reality is that I stepped upon a sea of lies and misinformation about what is actually going to happen. Here's the reality. I could have just made one of these clickbaity videos and hook you into watching my video and making some money off of you. But that's not what we do here in this channel. In this video, we're going to be doing the complete opposite. We're going to be debunking the 50 common misconceptions that people have about the 2026 regulations and what is actually going to happen. All of my sources will be linked down below in the description so that you can check them out for yourself, and you know I'm not spreading any misinformation here. Let's get started with number one. Cars will hit 400 kilometers per hour. This one is a common misconception that people got from comments that Total Wolff made about this. The reality is that he made this comment in a semi-sarcastic and theoretical way about simulations that Mercedes had run, and most of the rival teams have said that no matter how good Mercedes is going into 2026, even though it is the most promising team going into these new regulations, it is highly unlikely that their car will reach such speeds. The next one is that these cars will be more than 5 seconds slower. This one has a grain of truth, but it's a common misconception. The reality is that in earlier simulations, we were seeing about 5 seconds slower cars than we're seeing in 2025. But with current simulations and how cars are being developed, we are expecting about 2 seconds slower on average than current cars. And this one ties directly into number 3, because another misconception that people have is that these cars will be faster than 2025 cars immediately. Yes, the two opposites, and people are talking about these two like they're actually a fact. Neither of these two is absolutely a fact. Yes, a lot of the new components will give these cars a power boost, making them slightly quicker. But here's the reality. Every time we've had new development with new regulations, cars at the beginning are slower. They may get quicker over time and surely be faster than these current cars that we have. We've seen this with every new regulation change in Formula 1 history, but the reality is that right off the bat, I highly doubt that these cars will be quicker than 2025 cars. The next one is that acceleration will be dragster level insane. Here's the reality about acceleration. More electric torque definitely helps, but aerodynamic drag is something you can't avoid, and it's still going to affect performance negatively, just like it does with current cars. Before we go into number 5, make sure that if you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click it now, because if you like real fact-driven commentary, this is the channel for you. Number 5 is that Monaco will finally see overtakes. Here's the reality about Monaco. Monaco is a track that was built for cars 100 years ago. I went deep into detail about this in my previous video, but the summary is that cars are still too big for overtakes in Monaco. No matter how fast they are, yes, these will be slightly smaller, but Monaco won't have as many overtakes as many people are expecting. It will be pretty much the same as what we have now because the cars are simply too large for this racetrack. When this racetrack was designed, cars were a lot smaller in Formula 1. Number 6 is cars will be impossible to control with hybrid power. The truth here is that the ICE and the MGU-K balance is designed for drivability. These cars are not overpowered. Yes, they may be harder to drive for certain drivers, but they are not going to be overpowered. The next one is that the FIA is capping top speeds lower. I've read a lot of FIA documents to prepare for this video, and the reality is that top speeds in Formula 1 are not regulated by the FIA. It's just how much you can fight drag and how high of a speed your car can achieve. Going into 2026, these regulations are not changing. We are not going to have top speeds regulated. Number 8 is 2026 cars will smash Spa records on debut. This one is highly unlikely. We already touched on this. If we're expecting a 2-second slower car per lap, it is highly unlikely that we are going to be breaking Spa records right off the bat. Maybe a few years down the line, but I don't expect this to happen right away. The next one is lap records will fall straight away. Once again, the same thing as number 8. It's not going to happen right off the bat. It is highly unlikely that this will be the case. Number 10 is cars will constantly overheat. Going into 2026, these cars will be recalibrated once again, so we are not expecting any overheating issues. With the new regulation, we can expect some issues to arise, but I don't think that this is going to be a major issue going into the new year. Now we're getting into the engines and hybrid rumors. Number 11, V10s return in 2026. Absolutely not. V6 turbo hybrids will remain in the sport. As much as many of us nostalgic fans remember those days of the V10 cars, the reality is that they are not making a comeback anytime soon. Number 12 is hybrids are gone. The reality on this one is the complete opposite. Hybrid power will nearly triple in Formula 1, with MGU-K going from 120 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. Number 13 is engines will sound like the old V10s. It is true that these engines are expected to be slightly louder than the current engines, but I don't expect anything anywhere near the screaming, roaring engines of those V10 cars. Number 14 is ERS will have unlimited deployment. This one is simply false. The FIA maintains strict energy flow and deployment rules. The next one is batteries can hold unlimited energy. This is false. Batteries and energy usage will be strictly regulated. Number 16 is the MGU-H survives into 2026. This is false. The MGU-H will be removed from 2026 engines because the FIA and teams want simpler engines. The reality is that these are going to be more complicated engines overall, so adding an MGU-H would make it even more complicated. So going into 2026, that is not going to be the case. Cars will run on hydrogen. This one is just funny. Cars will not run on hydrogen. They're going to run 100% on sustainable liquid fuels. Number 18 is full electric F1 arrives in 2026. This one is simply false. If you want to watch electric Formula 1, you can watch Formula E. For those people who like electric cars, these cars going into 2026 are still going to be hybrid cars, just more electric power. Teams can design their exotic fuels. Not true at all. The FIA regulates the fuel compounds as well and has strict rules where all teams use the same type of sustainable fuel. The last one for this category is that Ford is building a factory engine. I can see where the confusion comes from on this one, but Ford is not building a standalone engine. Ford is partnering with Red Bull powertrains going into 2026 to build a common engine, both of them working together. The next big category that we have is aerodynamics and car design. Number 21 is cars will be bigger than ever. Not true at all. These cars will be slightly smaller than our current cars. I'm still not satisfied. I think we need smaller cars in Formula 1, but at least it is a step in the right direction if we want more overtakes. The next one is ground effect is being removed entirely. This is false, but I can understand where the misconception comes from. It is not being removed entirely, but yes, we're going to have less ground effect going into 2026. Front wings are gone. Front wings are not gone, but the reality is that they will be much simpler than our current cars have. That is true. Number 24 is active aero replaces all wings. Williams Racing wrote a very good article about this where they clarified that this is not the case. Active aerodynamic supplements will not replace wings. We've reached the halfway point. Number 25 is drivers can use aero freely. This is mostly false. Here's the reality. Active aero will be limited and FIA regulated for manual override zones and modes. The next one is movable skirts return like in the 1980s. This is simply not true. It's not allowed. This is 1980s technology that was awesome back in the day, but it will not be the case in 2026. Fan car suction is going to make a comeback. This is false. It's been completely outlawed in Formula 1 years ago. Brake ducts won't be needed anymore. This is not true. It is very essential to the cooling of these cars and it will remain a thing in Formula 1 going into 2026. Cars will look like sci-fi renders online. This is not true. I can see why you're saying this. They do look more modern, more sci-fi-ish, but nowhere near a Back to the Future car. They're not sci-fi cars. Teams will have freedom for wild aero. This is not true, and it's mainly because of cost issues. Going into 2026, there's going to be a lot of restrictions around aero innovation, and the reason why is they want to control costs. The next topic that we have is tires and weight. Number 31 is 18-inch wheels are scrapped. This is not true. Even though we have smaller cars, we are still going to have these 18-inch wheels in 2026. Tires will get wider for grip. If you look at the data, this is mostly false. Tire dimensions will be mostly unchanged going into 2026. The next one is cars will shed 100 kilograms in weight. The truth is that based on all the data I've seen, these cars will be about 30 kilograms lighter than the current cars. Nowhere near 100. The next one is tires will last an entire race distance. This is simply false. Tire degradation is still going to be a major issue in Formula 1. Pit stops and tire changes will still be a part of the strategy. strategy. The last one for this category is new tires will end degradation issues. This one is the recap of everything we've been talking about on this topic. Tires will not change much. Degradation is still going to be there, still the same issue as we have nowadays. Now let's get into teams and manufacturers. Number 36 is Cadillac isn't really joining. This is simply a lie. My previous video was exactly about Cadillac going into 2026 and revealing their drivers and their strategy for the next year. It is a known fact that Cadillac has been approved to join Formula 1 in 2026. Number 37 is Cadillac is creating its own engine. This is a common misconception. Cadillac did talk about developing their own engines, and they may have started working on it, but it's not for 2026. They're going to start with Ferrari power units, and as soon as they can actually develop their own and have a competitive power unit, they will put it into their car and end the contract with Ferrari. Number 38 is Audi is backing out before 2026. This is not true. Audi is fully committed to replacing Sauber, and they will be part of Formula 1 in 2026. Number 39 is Renault engines continue past 2025. I know that many of you are Renault fans, but the reality is that we will not have Renault power units anymore after 2025 in Formula 1. We're getting into the final 10. Number 40 is Honda's Aston Martin deal is temporary. This one is a little more detailed, but it's not a temporary thing. It's a full-term partnership between Honda and Aston Martin. The next one is Ford will buy Red Bull outright. I want to hope that the people who say this are simply confused. It is just a technical and branding partnership between both brands. It makes sense for them to work together, and that's simply what they're doing going into 2026. Porsche is entering Formula 1 in 2026. I wish, but it's simply false. Porsche makes some of my favorite cars, and they're highly competitive in other forms of motorsport, but the reality is that they have no public intention about joining Formula 1 anytime soon. Number 43 is Mercedes leaves Formula 1 in 2026. I've actually seen this one a lot from fans, and it's simply not true at all, guys. The reality is that Mercedes is fully committed to Formula 1 going into 2026, and we can see going into the future as well. They have one of the best rookies on the grid at the moment, and from all of the leaks that I've seen from 2026 development, Mercedes is looking very good for 2026, so don't buy into these rumors. Number 44 is Ferrari will power Cadillac long term. I already touched on this a little bit. This is not true at all. Ferrari is working with Cadillac perhaps for their first year or first few years. We don't know exactly yet, but Cadillac is trying to develop their own power unit as they gain more knowledge about the sport, and they may very well be already developing these power units. It takes years to create these. Number 45 is Toyota is making a comeback. The reality is that I've also heard these rumors, but there is no official plans confirmed from either Formula 1, the FIA, or Toyota, so it's simply just rumors. And for the final topic, we're going to talk about racing and sporting myths. Number 46 is 2026 guarantees closer racing. Here's the reality with this one. I am sort of excited about closer racing too because of these regulation changes that we're having and these electric deployment that should give them a little bit of extra power, and we should see more overtakes. But as someone who's been watching this sport for 2 decades, the reality is that usually when we have a regulation change, the same deal happens again. We may have a year or two with lots of competition, and I really hope we do, but as we move into the future, we will see, like we always do, 1 or 2 or 3 teams just dominate everyone else. It's what happens in Formula 1, it's been happening forever, and it's what happens in other sports too. Number 47 is McLaren's dominance ends automatically. It is possible because we really don't know how good these McLaren cars will be going into 2026. But the truth is that I highly doubt it for many reasons. One, I always say this, McLaren has one of the best leaderships that any team has right now. They have an incredible driver lineup, and if they win the constructors and they win the drivers championships, that is a lot of money that's going to be going to McLaren. I'm not just talking about prize money, but sponsorship deals that will want to sponsor the champion team. Of course, having the most money doesn't mean you'll have the best team, but it surely influences that. Number 48 is midfield cars will win races right away. This is highly unlikely. The truth is that their resources will still be less than the top teams. They're going to slowly fall a little behind on development, and we're going to see the same gaps that we've seen always. Number 49 is overtaking will triple overnight. I wish this was true and active aero is truly going to help with this, but the reality is that we're still going to have tire degradation, we're still going to have team tactics, and the most important thing is that these cars are still large. Do I expect slightly more overtakes going into 2026? Surely, but definitely not triple what we're seeing nowadays. Number 50, the final one, is 2026 rules will fix Formula One's entertainment forever. The truth is that Formula One, just like any sport, has deeper structural levels, and new car regulations, new car design, more overtakes is not going to fix this. Could it be slightly more entertaining? Sure, if we expect more overtakes, then surely it'll be more entertaining, but it's not going to fix the entire sport. And that's all we got for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. You can click right here to subscribe to this channel, and you can click right here to watch the next video that I created just for you. Until next time, bye.